revolutionized not just one industry, but multiple industries and changed the world forever? What if I told you there's a book that reveals the raw, unfiltered truth behind one of history's most enigmatic innovators? Today, we're diving deep into Walter Isaacson's masterpiece, Steve Jobs, a biography that pulls back the curtain on the man who transformed how we communicate, listen to music, and interact with technology. This isn't just another corporate success story. This is the intimate portrait of a visionary who was equal parts genius and tyrant, creator and destroyer, beloved leader and ruthless perfectionist. Isaacson spent over 2 years conducting exclusive interviews with Jobs himself, along with more than 100 family members, friends, adversaries, competitors and colleagues. What emerged was a complex portrait of a man whose relentless pursuit of perfection literally reshaped our world. Walter Isaacson's Steve Jobs stands as one of the most comprehensive and revealing biographies ever written about a technology pioneer. Published in 2011, just weeks after Jobs' death, this 656-page tome represents the culmination of extensive research and unprecedented access to one of the most private figures in Silicon Valley. Isaacson, a former chairman of CNN and editor of Time magazine, brought his journalistic expertise to bear on a subject who had long fascinated and frustrated the media. What makes this biography extraordinary isn't just its timing or access, but its unflinching honesty. Jobs himself initiated the project, recognizing his mortality and wanting his story told without sugarcoating. He granted Isaacson complete editorial control, promising not to interfere with the content. This arrangement produced a work that captures both Jobs' brilliance and his darker qualities with equal precision. The book traces Jobs' journey from his adoption as an infant through his rise as a counterculture entrepreneur, his dramatic exile from Apple, his wilderness years of founding Next and transforming Pixar, and his triumphant return to Apple, where he orchestrated one of business history's greatest comebacks. Isaacson weaves together technical innovation, corporate drama, and personal relationships to create a narrative that reads like a thriller while maintaining journalistic integrity. Unlike typical business biographies that focus solely on professional achievements, this work delves into the psychological and emotional factors that drove Jobs' behaviour. It explores his adoption issues, his spiritual seeking, his complicated relationships with family and colleagues, and his struggle with cancer. The result is a three-dimensional portrait that helps readers understand not just what Jobs accomplished, but why he was driven to accomplish it. Steve Jobs emerges from Isaacson's pages as a paradoxical figure whose greatest strengths were inextricably linked to his most challenging qualities. The biography reveals how Jobs' adoptive parents, Paul and Clara Jobs, instilled in him both a fierce independence and an obsessive attention to detail that would define his approach to product development. His biological father's abandonment created deep-seated insecurities that manifested as an almost pathological need for control and perfection. The narrative follows Jobs through his formative years in Silicon Valley, where he absorbed both the engineering culture of his father's generation and the rebellious spirit of the 1960s counterculture. His partnership with Steve Wozniak began as a friendship rooted in shared interest in electronics and pranks, but evolved into one of technology's most consequential collaborations. Together, they launched Apple Computer from a garage, but their relationship grew increasingly strained as Jobs' ambitions expanded beyond Wozniak's technical interests. Isaacson chronicles Jobs' transformation from a barefoot hippie entrepreneur into a corporate executive, highlighting the internal conflicts this evolution created. His pursuit of Eastern spirituality, including a life-changing trip to India, provided philosophical frameworks that influenced his design aesthetic and business philosophy. The concept of Zen simplicity became central to Apple's product development, while his belief in end-to-end control shaped the company's integrated approach to hardware and software. The biography details Jobs' dramatic ouster from Apple in 1985, a corporate coup that devastated him personally but ultimately proved transformative. His founding of Next Computer, while financially unsuccessful, allowed him to develop management skills and refine his vision for user-friendly technology. Simultaneously, his acquisition and transformation of Pixar demonstrated his ability to revolutionize industries beyond computers, proving that his talents extended far beyond Silicon Valley. The founding of Apple Computer in 1976 represents the first major milestone in Jobs' career, though Isaacson reveals it was far from the smooth partnership often portrayed in popular culture. While Wozniak possessed the technical brilliance to create the Apple I and Apple II computers, Jobs contributed the vision, marketing acumen, and relentless drive necessary to transform hobby electronics into a commercial revolution. The Apple II's success established the template for personal computing, but more importantly, it demonstrated Jobs' ability to identify and create mass market demand for sophisticated technology. The development of the Lisa computer in the early 1980s marked Jobs' first serious attempt to create a user-friendly graphical interface, inspired by his famous visit to Xerox PARC. Though the Lisa failed commercially, it established the foundation for everything that followed. Jobs' obsession with controlling every aspect of the user experience led to conflicts with Apple's board and other executives who viewed his perfectionism as counterproductive to meeting market demands and deadlines. The Macintosh launch in 1984 represented both Jobs' greatest triumph and the beginning of his downfall at Apple. The revolutionary computer introduced concepts like the mouse, graphical user interface, and intuitive design to mainstream consumers. However, Jobs' authoritarian management style and his treatment of other Apple divisions created internal warfare that ultimately led to his removal from operational responsibilities. The boardroom coup, orchestrated by CEO John Sculley, devastated Jobs personally, but freed him to pursue new challenges. The next computer venture from 1985 to 1997 initially appeared to be Jobs' attempt to prove his critics wrong by creating the perfect computer without corporate constraints. The next workstation was technologically advanced but commercially unsuccessful, primarily due to its high cost and Jobs' insistence on controlling every component. However, the experience taught him valuable lessons about leadership, team building, and the importance of balancing perfectionism with practical business considerations. His transformation of Pixar from a struggling computer graphics company into the world's premier animation studio demonstrated Jobs' ability to apply his technology expertise to creative industries. Beginning with Toy Story in 1995, Pixar revolutionized filmmaking while establishing new standards for computer animation. Jobs' role extended beyond business leadership to creative collaboration as he pushed directors and artists to achieve unprecedented levels of storytelling and technical excellence. The return to Apple in 1997 initiated the most remarkable corporate turnaround in business history. Jobs found his former company near bankruptcy with a confusing product line and no clear strategic direction. His systematic elimination of redundant products, focus on design excellence, and emphasis on creating entirely new product categories transformed Apple from a niche computer maker into the world's most valuable company. The development of revolutionary products like the iMac, iPod, iPhone, and iPad showcased Jobs' evolution from a talented entrepreneur into a master orchestrator of complex technological ecosystems. Each product demonstrated his ability to anticipate consumer needs they didn't yet recognize while seamlessly integrating hardware, software, and services. His insistence on controlling the entire user experience, once viewed as a weakness, became Apple's greatest competitive advantage. His battle with pancreatic cancer, beginning in 2003, revealed both his vulnerabilities and his determination to continue innovating despite declining health. Jobs' initial resistance to conventional medical treatment reflected his lifelong belief in alternative approaches and personal control. His eventual acceptance of surgery and treatment allowed him to continue leading Apple through its most innovative period, though his illness remained largely hidden from the public and even Apple employees. The pursuit of perfection, while often frustrating to colleagues and partners, can drive breakthrough innovations that redefine entire industries. Jobs' obsessive attention to detail extended to components customers would never see, reflecting his belief that true quality required excellence in every aspect of product development. This philosophy produced devices that weren't just functional but emotionally resonant, creating deep connections between users and their technology. Control over the entire user experience, from hardware design to software development to retail presentation, enables companies to create seamless, intuitive products that competitors cannot easily replicate. Jobs' insistence on vertical integration ran counter to industry trends towards specialization, but it allowed Apple to optimize every element of the customer journey. This integrated approach became increasingly valuable as technology products became more complex and interdependent. The ability to anticipate and create consumer demand for products that don't yet exist represents the highest form of market leadership. Jobs repeatedly introduced products that consumers didn't know they wanted, from personal computers to smartphones to tablet computers. His success stemmed from deep empathy for user needs combined with technical understanding of what emerging technologies could accomplish. Simplicity in design and functionality requires far more effort and sophistication than complexity, but it creates products that are both more powerful and more accessible. Jobs' collaboration with designer Jonathan Ive produced devices that appeared effortless to use while incorporating cutting-edge technology. This design philosophy influenced not just Apple's products, but entire industry's approach to user interface development. The combination of technical competence and liberal arts education creates leaders who can bridge the gap between engineering capabilities and human needs. Jobs' background in calligraphy, philosophy, and literature informed his approach to product development, enabling him to create technology that felt natural and intuitive. This interdisciplinary perspective became increasingly important as technology became more integrated into daily life. Leadership effectiveness depends more on vision, communication, and the ability to inspire excellence than on technical expertise or traditional management skills. Jobs' leadership style was often harsh and demanding, but it consistently produced extraordinary results from his teams. His ability to articulate compelling visions and push people beyond their perceived limitations created a culture of innovation that outlasted his direct involvement. The willingness to cannibalize existing successful products to create new categories of innovation prevents competitors from disrupting established market positions. Jobs repeatedly introduced products that competed with Apple's existing offerings, from the iPhone competing with the iPod to the iPad creating a new category between smartphones and laptops. This approach required enormous confidence and long-term thinking that many leaders lack. Personal authenticity and passion for the work itself, rather than just financial success, creates sustainable motivation for long-term innovation and leadership. Jobs' return to Apple involved significant financial sacrifice, but his genuine excitement about product development and user experience sustained him through years of rebuilding the company. This intrinsic motivation enabled him to maintain focus and creativity even during the most challenging periods. Walter Isaacson's Steve Jobs stands as more than a biography. It's a masterclass in innovation, leadership, and the complex psychology of genius. Through unprecedented access and meticulous research, Isaacson created a work that captures the essence of a man who fundamentally altered multiple industries while remaining deeply human in his flaws and contradictions. The book's greatest achievement lies in its ability to explain not just what Jobs accomplished, but how and why he was able to achieve things that seemed impossible. For entrepreneurs and business leaders, this biography offers invaluable insights into the mindset and methods that drive breakthrough innovation. Jobs' story demonstrates that transformative leadership requires more than technical competence or business acumen. It demands vision, passion, and the courage to pursue perfection, even when others consider it impractical. His successes and failures provide a roadmap for anyone seeking to create products or companies that genuinely matter. The book's enduring relevance extends beyond business applications to anyone interested in creativity, leadership, and human potential. Jobs' journey from adopted child to global icon illustrates how personal struggles and philosophical seeking can fuel professional achievement. His story reminds us that the most significant innovations often come from individuals who refuse to accept existing limitations and conventional wisdom. Ultimately, Isaacson's Steve Jobs serves as both inspiration and warning about the costs and rewards of pursuing excellence without compromise. It challenges readers to consider their own potential for impact while acknowledging the personal sacrifices that transformative leadership often requires. This biography doesn't just chronicle one man's extraordinary life, it illuminates the principles and practices that enable anyone to think differently.